Right, welcome back. You're watching Prime News, and now it's an opportunity for us to have a very important conversation with the newly appointed Chief Executive of KPMG South Africa, Nhlamu Dlomu, who's committed herself to restore the audit firm's fundamental values of ethics and integrity. She was previously KPMG SA's head for people and change. She's described as a highly experienced partner in leading transformation in the financial services sector, and she joins us now. Nhlamu, thanks very much for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity, Peter.
All right, so you've been in the job 5 minutes. Was it a surprise when they told you you're going to be the boss?
It was a surprise. However, there were steps taken to speak to me and test what I would bring to the job. So while it was a surprise and it was relatively quick, I'm really humbled.
All right, so 17 years, mostly in HR as a specialist there. What are you going to bring to this job? What are you going to do with KPMG South Africa?
Okay, so maybe to say to you that part of my job has been in consulting. So I've been a client-facing partner at KPMG for a number of years. And what I bring to the job is an ability to work with people, to rebuild the firm, because where we are now, we're looking at the future of the firm. We're looking at what the new KPMG will present and what it represents. And for me, it's really critical to remember that I got in at a time when the company was going through a really difficult time. We are going through a difficult time. And our job is to rebuild trust with our clients, rebuild trust with the community and South Africa as a whole, and most importantly, rebuild the confidence of our people.
All right, so, you know, I was doing a bit of research on KPMG, and 2016, 2017, university student says this is the most admired company to work for, and they're making decisions now. How are you going to convince future employees and your current employees that KPMG is the company that you've built over the years still?
I think it's really important to remember that KPMG comprises of 3,400 plus employees who are dedicated, who are full of integrity. They've done really good work over the years, and we produce quality. So that hasn't disappeared. We have had incidents on 2 accounts, and we are working on correcting and taking actions on those. We have engaged universities that are signed with us, students that are signed with us. We have also been talking directly to our employees. This is not an email barrage, it's face-to-face conversations, and we're listening. I think what's really important is to hear what the concern is about and to address those concerns. But as far as the integrity of the firm itself in its entirety is concerned, it is still there. The issues that we found were not completely systematic.
All right, so we're going to talk about the concerns just now. But again, you, and I just, you know, it's probably unfair, but you know what people are going to say. KPMG are in trouble, and so part of the PR exercise is to put a black woman in charge. What do you say to the critics who might bring that up?
I've already heard some of that criticism. And I think what's important to remember is we're in a country where for a long time we have fought for women, we fought for black people to be in leadership positions. When it does happen, on that occasion, I think it's our collective responsibility to stand up and support each other and to recognize that there haven't been a lot of those examples, and it's good when it happens. I also don't overestimate my capabilities. I will work with very experienced people. We will be working with KPMG International itself. They will be providing us with highly experienced people. Am I a face representing the firm? I would like to believe not, because the board of the South African organization as well as international did do really a thorough investigation to make sure that they pick the right person. I am truly humbled. I know that I do not come with 40 years of experience, but what I bring is a willingness to work until we get this right, and experience,
Will you be able to manage auditors and tax specialists and legal people, because you're mostly HR, and these are very technical areas. You've got problems that have played out in the advisory and the audit area. Will you be able to manage those in the future if that's not your own background?
Okay, so maybe I should say I am an advisory partner as well, so I understand the world of advisory. And I have been working in the Big Four environment for a long time. While I'm not a technical specialist in audit, I have an amazing team of auditors who are highly experienced and have been with the firm for years. We also have global support, and so my role is to coordinate and lead all of the people in the firm. I trust their capabilities. I trust that they will know what to do. I'm guiding the firm from a strategic perspective and making sure that the work that we do as we rebuild KPMG makes sense to the environment that we operate in.
So I know that you worked for Anderson Consulting at one stage.
Yes.
Is there a sense of déjà vu here? Because Anderson Accounting disappeared and Consulting had to change its name to Accenture. What did you learn from that experience that you're going to bring to this current problem?
I learned a number of things, some of which I'm using actually in the last 48 hours. I've had to remind myself. I have to state though that this is not the same case as what happened with Arthur Anderson. I think it needs to be understood that the issues here are particularly linked to particular areas of work that we did across our audit, tax and advisory services. So it is not the same. We need to go to specifics at some point, I guess, in order to point that out. But, you know, that experience of being in a difficult situation is something that I've got, that I'm going to lean on. There were lots of lessons that were learned about leading during difficult times. I'm not perfect at it. Of course, I will keep on leaning and talking to business leaders across South Africa to get guidance and input. This is not going to be a one-person job.
All right, well, let's talk about those specifics now. 7 senior people have had to resign. Did you ask them to leave or did they resign of their own accord?
It was 9 people who resigned, and they understand, and you know, the people that we're talking about here have served the company for years, and collectively it's decades, with distinction most of that time. Yes, mistakes were made in the process and they had to resign, and a lot of it, from their own words, they felt the need to make sure that we can rebuild the firm because they're committed.
Is this not a PR exercise? Because I'm sure chances are you'd lose some clients if this thing carried on and the same faces stayed on board. Did they do anything wrong, or was it, as you put it, they didn't follow through with the high standards that you've set for yourselves? Did they do anything wrong? Let's start there.
Let me put it this way. In them conducting their work, when the checks and balances were done, we found that there are areas where firstly they could have made, in some cases, decisions earlier. Those decisions could have been tested with various governance structures. And so I think some of it was mainly because of the way that the roles were set up. Some of it was around our governance structures and the level of independence between our executive and the board. Those are things that we're suggesting that we remedy as a matter of urgency. So you will see in the report that we talk about separating the executive from the oversight in terms of the board. We also talk about correcting some of our processes, such as accepting clients, the processes that we follow, looking at how we improve our professional skepticism. So all of those things are really critical to us. So you would have seen that we've said that there were red flags. And this is KPMG International talking to us. I'm saying we because I've accepted the findings like everybody inside the firm.
All right, Andrew Cranston, Senior Partner, KPMG International, he's come in to help in the meantime. He says that the work done for the Guptas was lacking in rigor. And he says, we regret that the association with the Gupta family and their business entities went on for far too long. What did they do wrong that you would say something like this about them?
So who are you referring to?
The Gupta family and their businesses. Because it's not a small thing when an auditor says, I have to sever my relationship with you.
So when we accept our clients, we look at a number of processes, and one of them is, just risks that relate to any association. So I wouldn't say, and I wouldn't like to comment on what wrongdoing a client of ours could have done, because we also maintain confidentiality. But for us, I'll speak on behalf of KPMG, we have to assess risks associated with the type of work that we're doing. And sometimes I have to concede from the report, it's clear that International looked at the relationship, the length of the relationship, and what could have happened, when we could have severed the relationship, and found that some of our processes had been lacking at that point. We accept that finding. And actually, it's in some way, crisis brings you awareness so that you can develop better ways of managing going into the future. We will not be repeating the same mistakes, I can assure the public and yourself.
All right, but you know, your last audit opinions were 2015, but you carried on with this relationship. Why was that? What failed? Were you under pressure to keep this relationship going? I mean, your partners went to their wedding, for goodness sake.
Well, the wedding was before 2015,
Yeah.
and I need to say, when we terminated, we were finishing the year of 2015, the audit of that year. So it was early in 2016, and we commit ourselves to finishing work that we start with clients. So a lot of those decisions were made based on that. You know, I've been in the role for 48 hours.
Yeah.
So Peter, forgive me if I sometimes say to you, I won't be able to go into all of the detail, because I'm also still studying the report.
So you don't know if they did anything wrong specifically, but it was a relationship that was problematic for reasons you can't disclose, and that's why you severed ties with them. Is that a correct assumption? So
that's an assumption that you're making, and I'm saying to you, we assess our risks based on standard procedures that we follow, and International was investigating how we had managed the client, not necessarily all the detail of what we could have done or what happened. Yeah.
So SAR's report, what went wrong? My reading your statement, International statement, is that you offered a legal opinion that perhaps you shouldn't have attributed to yourself, that it should have been caveated. The lawyer said this is what we found out. Does that mean that what the lawyer said was wrong, or that you shouldn't have attributed yourself to what the lawyer said?
I can't go into the details of the scope of work, because that was between us and our client. But safe to say, when it comes to that report, we believe that in terms of the way that we manage processes around how we engage and finalize the scope of any work that we do with a client, some of the processes were not fully followed and adhered to. Right. And that's what International found.
So you accept that this report has caused a lot of damage. People have lost their jobs possibly, and people are saying that you were used as part of a state capture process, and you got sucked in all of this. I'm not sure how much you knew, how much you didn't know, but there have been serious consequences as a result of that report, which you've withdrawn, but the consequences remain. How do you remedy that?
Peter, we will always accept and acknowledge our part in the work that we do. I need to state that actually we do acknowledge our mistakes. That's part of the way that we operate, and this is what I'm expecting of everyone inside KPMG. And in acknowledging that, we actually act accordingly and act to rectify where we need to rectify, and to actually correct the way that we interact with our clients and the way that we produce our work. So you're asking me specific questions. It is regrettable that there is so much that seems to be attributed to the report. We're hearing that. We want to engage, so we're open to talking to most people who want to engage on the details. However, we have to maintain client confidentiality. There are certain things that I honestly cannot discuss with you that I'm at pains of, of sharing, but I can't. Yeah.
Did you say sorry to Praveen Gordon and others?
We're looking forward to engaging with Mr. Gordon, and we would like a constructive engagement where we can discuss the matters in detail. So we have reached out, and we're looking forward to sitting with him directly and having that conversation.
So you've got some staff that have, senior partners that have fallen on their sword, as it were, for the greater good. Jacques Wessels has refused to go. I mean, what do you do? Is he saying that I've done nothing wrong and therefore I shouldn't go? Or are you saying that he did come short and he ought to go? Which is it?
Matters of employees and, and their employers are complicated, and we are engaging in the right processes inside the organization to speak to Jacques. And we as much as I say we found shortcomings in some of the work that has been done, we have found those shortcomings and we are having to remedy the situation, and part of it is for making sure that the people who were responsible take full accountability for that. Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that saying sorry isn't enough.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're even looking at these donations to charities, giving back money to SARS, as maybe even blood money to appease your conscience. What do you say to that? Because, you know, if you're giving money back, that's an admission of some kind of culpability.
So what I say to that is KPMG International sent a very senior team to come and have a look at the work that we've done on the Oak Bay accounts as well as on the SARS matter. And the findings we have tried to summarize as well as possible in the statement that we've released. We have acknowledged where we've seen shortcomings. KPMG International has been absolutely clear about where the red flags were. And we are not trying to run away from responsibility. So what I can assure you and assure the public is our next wave is to really rebuild our ethical way of working, because the people who are in KPMG are trustworthy. I'm at pains to explain.
But paying the money back means you've done something wrong, doesn't it?
Paying the money back can be interpreted in a number of ways. There have been a number of calls to pay the money back, but what we would like is to send a signal to South Africa that we are actually committed. We're not thinking of that money as just paying money back into a vacuum. We would like to invest in causes that we are passionate about. I'm particularly passionate about educating young people in South Africa and making sure that we can take that funding and use it in a productive way to growing the economy.
So can people trust your work? If this story is true, that link trading, laundered money, paid for a wedding, and you didn't pick it up, how can we trust the quality of your work if we hear it for the first time in newspapers?
Okay, let me put it this way. We have a number of thousands of clients that we work with. And over this weekend, since we released the media release, we've been getting a lot of positive feedback from most of our clients saying that they work with our teams, with real people on the ground that are really experienced. And in the high percentages, people are saying to us, your people are fantastic. The quality of the work is really good. So we don't have any reason to believe sitting here that what happened with those particular accounts is systematic, is spread across the whole business.
Have you lost clients?
Well, you probably would have read about some of the clients that have declared that they would be terminating their relationships with us. So far, it has been 2 clients in the main, and we are working directly with our clients. So for us, my style is to engage. So I would like to actually engage and give our clients the reassurance that we're doing everything possible.
Okay, we've run out of time, but will KPMG survive this? Enron, Anderson, what people don't realize is actually they did manage to reverse the conviction, and they're operating in Chicago with 200 employees, but the entity disappeared because of the reputational damage. Can you survive this?
We believe we can, with the support as well of business in South Africa, as well as society at large, to understand that we are actually going towards a more transparent future. We welcome any engagement, any concerns. We're working quite closely with the regulator. We're working closely with SAICA. We want to make sure that when we look back in a few months' time, what we have and what we call KPMG is a completely different firm to where we are today.
Nhlamu, thank you very much for joining us and giving us your thoughts And we wish you the best of luck and congratulations once again on
Thank
your
you.
appointment. And yeah, we can only wish that the thousands of employees perhaps who relying on you and your leadership that you pull through this.
Thank you very much,
Thank you so
Peter.
much for your
Appreciate
time.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.